The flashbulbs were so bright and constant in 2007 that you'd think the sun had moved to the streets of London. But for Catherine Middleton, those lights weren't warm, they were predatory. People love to look at her now and see this perfectly made royal icon. But girl, let me tell you, there was a moment where it looked like the whole thing was about to go up in flames. She was being hounded by the press in a way that felt like a terrifying, high-definition repeat of what happened to Diana. She was Waitie Katie, the girl that tabloids mocked for allegedly waiting around for a ring that might never come, while critics whispered that she was just doors to manual because of her mother's flight attendant past. There was this palpable, heavy tension in the air. Everyone was wondering if she was just another girl about to be chewed up and spat out by the royal machine. When she and William actually broke up that year, the world basically exhaled a collective, "I knew it." It felt like the fairy tale was dead on arrival, and she was left trying to keep her dignity while being chased into taxis by men with long lenses. People were saying she wasn't academic enough or royal enough, and as one commenter, at Suds for Cleaning 5735 sharply put it, the narrative that she went after William was everywhere, ignoring the reality that they were just two friends who fell in love in a literal goldfish bowl. But to understand how she didn't just survive that mess but actually conquered it, you have to look at where she came from, because the Middleton secret sauce is real. Catherine wasn't born in a palace. She was born into a family that defines the word sturdy. Her parents, Carol and Michael, were the ultimate power couple of middle-class hustle. They met at British Airways. Carol was a flight attendant and Michael was a flight dispatcher. And they built a multi-million Lynn 54 Smith 73, are obsessed with the fact that she was impeccably brought up. And they aren't wrong. Her parents invested everything into her education, sending her to Marlborough. But it wasn't all sunshine and private tutors. When she was 13, she had a pretty miserable time at a school called Down House. She was reportedly picked on, felt out of place, and eventually had to be moved. It's that early vulnerability, that scuttling off feeling that makes her so relatable to people today. Even the future queen had to deal with the mean girls of Berkshire. By the time she got to the University of St. Andrews in Scotland, she had found her footing, but she still wasn't the polished princess we know. She was just Kate, a girl who allegedly caught a prince's eye because she was stunningly gorgeous, but also, let's be real, because she had a bit of a bold streak. We all know the story of the see-through dress at the charity fashion show. It's legendary. As the documentary transcript points out, she wasn't too shy or backward to catch his eye. She walked that catwalk in a sheer slip, and William, sitting in the front row, reportedly turned to his friend and whispered, "Wow, Kate's hot." But here's the gossip you don't always hear. They were friends first. They shared a house with other students, they cooked spaghetti bolognese together, and she was the one who counseled him when he wanted to drop out of uni because he was miserable. She wasn't just his girlfriend, she was his anchor before the world even knew her name. But the friends first vibe didn't stop the world from scrutinizing her every move. There's a constant debate in the comments about her intelligence and her background. At Tarja Kanga 6181 points out that people claim she's not academic enough, even though she went to a top university and did incredibly well. There's this weird snobbery that she had to fight through. While some were calling her a commoner like it was a dirty word, others were saying, because of her roots, we can expect an amazing queen. She was stuck in this weird middle ground, too royal for the commoners and too common for the royals. And then there was the shadow of Diana. As at Marianne Anderson 2213 famously noted, the major difference between Kate and Diana is that Catherine actually had a husband who loved her and wasn't smashing a mistress in her face. But that didn't make the pressure any less intense. The public was hungry for a new Diana, and they were ready to feast on Catherine if she stole a relationship, while knowing that every time they stepped out, repeating itself, that he almost let her go. That's where the Waitie Katie label came from, the idea that she was just sitting by the phone waiting for a prince who was too scared to commit. But as we see in the comments, like from @arandolph8112, she was a classy woman who held her head high even when the tabloids were being absolute vultures. You have to wonder what was going through.
It was about 3 weeks ago on a holiday in Kenya. We had a little private time away together with some friends, and I just decided that it was the right time, really. We'd been talking about marriage for a while, so it wasn't a massively big surprise, but I took her up somewhere nice in Kenya and proposed.
It's very romantic. There's a true romantic in that.
There is.
So there they were in the comments, noting that a major difference is Catherine has a husband who loves her and is not smashing a mistress in her face. Harsh? Maybe, but that's the gossip truth that makes people so protective of her. But the transition wasn't all fairy dust and sapphires. Behind the scenes, she was basically in royal boot camp. She had to learn the protocols, the charities, and how to speak without looking like she was reading from a teleprompter. Some experts in the documentary were pretty brutal, calling her stilted and not a natural. Even @Pamela Nettos 9717 empathized with the struggle, sharing how she once couldn't even speak in front of a humanities class. Catherine was doing it in front of billions. The physical demons of public life started to creep in, the constant need to be perfect and impeccable. People like @RobinJudd5199 call her the package now, but nothing prepares you for the goldfish bowl of the royal family. And then there's the other factor. You can't talk about Catherine. 442 calls Catherine a true queen, exactly what Meghan Markle could never be, while @LEM4225 thanked the creators for not even mentioning the other one. It shows how much people use Catherine as a benchmark for royal behavior. She became the standard-bearer for grace and dignity. While others were seen as fake or pretending, Catherine was viewed as authentic because she'd done the work. She wasn't trying to change the system from the outside, she was mastering it from within. As the wedding date approached, the curiosity moved from will she marry her to can she do the job. The pressure was astronomical. She was representing the new generation of the monarchy. If she failed, the whole institution looked dusty and out of touch. If she succeeded, she was the real diamond everyone hoped for. She had to navigate the creepy reporters, like the one who made assumptions about her trying to pull the prince in that fashion show, as @Christina Gianaros 9817 pointed out, and turned that narrative into one of a lovely, loving, loyal woman. She was being groomed to be the balance Prince William needs, according to @Northern Farm Girl, and that balance was about to be put to the ultimate test in front of 2 billion people at Westminster Abbey. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of that pre-wedding period. Incubation period. She was learning how to be a royal wife away from the prying eyes of London. One of the most relatable moments from this time was when William was spotted fitting a baby seat into the car after George was born. @EAD9726 remembered seeing that on TV, saying it was lovely watching William wipe his brow while struggling with the seat. It showed they were grounded and kind, just as @Shan4567 said. But the fairy tale hit a major wall when she started having kids. We need to talk about hyperemesis gravidarum, because it's not just morning sickness, it's a nightmare. Catherine was hospitalized, looking frail and exhausted, and the royal bubble was suddenly full of concern. @Pamela Meadows 9717 really felt for her here, sharing that she had the same thing in the 70s and went weeks without being able to eat. It was the first time the public saw Catherine's physical demons, as @GemmaDay8561 called them. She was beating her physical demons while the whole world was watching her belly. The tension was high. Could she handle the demands of the firm while being so ill? But she handled it with that inner beauty and class that @SuzH-M2W mentioned, eventually popping out 3 of the most adorable royal kids we've ever seen. As she grew into her role as a mother, the package really started to reveal itself. You know, the one that @RobinJudd5199 talked about. Beautiful, gracious, respectful, also sporty, musical, artistic, the package. She wasn't just standing there looking pretty anymore. She was playing the piano at Westminster Abbey, showing off her photography skills with those gorgeous birthday portraits of the kids, and literally taking down William in competitive sailing. She was becoming the balance that Northern Farm Girl said she needed. But with that perfection came a new kind of scrutiny. While people like Carla Robinson NTUG were calling her kind, lovely, humble, others were starting to pit her against the new arrival on the scene, Meghan Markle. This is where the gossip gets really spicy. The comparisons were relentless. Catherine was the classy and elegant one, while Meghan was the disruptor. Bad Kitty's 4S didn't mince words, calling Catherine exactly what Meghan could never ever be. Whether you agree or not, the tension between the two camps was a literal firestorm for the monarchy. Catherine stayed silent, the never complain, never explain strategy in full effect. But you have to wonder what was happening behind closed doors. She was the one who had trained her whole life for this, as Sammy Maram 738 said, and suddenly the rules were being rewritten. She had to navigate being the steady hand, while the family was seemingly falling apart around her. And then, just as she seemed to be hitting her stride as the Princess of Wales, the ultimate tragedy struck, the passing of the Queen. Suddenly, she wasn't just Kate or Catherine the Duchess, she was the woman standing right next to the throne. The Queen-in-Waiting title wasn't a theory anymore, it was a looming reality. The public was watching her every move at the funeral, looking for that grace and dignity that reminds so many of Diana. Trina Weldon 9378 noted, "She reminds me so much of Diana, showing her heart on her sleeve, but staying steadfast and loyal." She was no longer the girl who scuttled off in the hallway. She was the strong lady that Natalia Severian looks up to. But here's the kicker. Just as she reached this pinnacle of royal power, another problem emerged, a health crisis that would keep her out of the public eye for months and spark the wildest conspiracy theories the internet has ever seen. The stability everyone praised was suddenly shaken to its core. Where was Catherine? Why was she hiding? The loyalty of fans like Ramona R618, who praise they and their children have a very happy life, was being tested by a wall of silence. The transition from the ideal queen to a woman fighting a very private battle was about to become the most dramatic chapter yet. You think you know the story, but the way she emerged from that shadow and the brilliant way she and William handled the fallout is where the real making of a queen happens. Stick with me, because next is where the fairy tale meets the hardest reality of all, and you won't believe how she filled the big shoes of the women who came before her.
Now, if you thought the drama ended with the wedding and the babies, man, the last couple of years have been the ultimate test of the princess we didn't know we needed. Just when everything seemed like it was on cruise control, the world stopped spinning in early 2024. Suddenly, the most photographed woman in the planet just vanished. The silence from the palace was deafening, and the internet, it went absolutely feral. We're talking wild conspiracy theories, blurry paparazzi shots, and a level of public anxiety that proved just how much the monarchy leans on her. People like Ramona R6180 were literally praying for them and their children, while the rest of the world was asking, "Where is Kate?" It was a moment of total vulnerability that could have broken anyone, but when she finally sat on that wooden bench in Windsor, jeans, striped sweater, no tiara in sight, and told us she was fighting cancer, the gossip stopped and the respect hit a whole new level. She didn't just handle it, she mastered the art of the quiet comeback. By the time she announced she was in remission at the start of 2025, she wasn't just a royal anymore, she was a survivor. But honey, don't think she went back to that old pace of running herself ragged. One of the biggest talking points in the 2026 royal circles is how she's being selective. She's doing about 1/10 of the engagements the older royals do. But as Anne-Marie Olafsay 6102 noted, she is making the role her own by choosing quality over quantity. She's focusing on what matters, like her work with early childhood, and she's about to head off on a solo trip to Italy next week to dive into the Reggio Emilia approach. It's her first big foreign tour in years, and the curiosity is through the roof. Will she bring that signature Middleton sparkle to the Mediterranean? You bet she will. But let's get into the real tea of how she's living her life now in 2026. Word is she and William have a no mobile phone rule for George, Charlotte, and Louis. Can you imagine? In a world of TikTok and iPads, the future King of England doesn't even have a burner phone. It's that grounded upbringing she got from Carol and Michael coming through. She's teaching them about the healing power of nature and creativity, and honestly, the public is eating it up. At Donna Algalere Lambertiti 3933 was so right when she talked about the quality of a young woman coming from a stable home. Catherine is basically building a normal fortress around her kids, while the rest of the royal world is in a bit of a tailspin. And can we talk about the fashion? Just a few days ago, at the first Buckingham Palace garden party of 2026, she showed up in this stunning cream ensemble with a polka dot skirt. But the part that had everyone on X, formerly Twitter, screaming, she was walking on uneven grass in stilettos. Not wedges, girl, stilettos. As one fan account put it, walking on grass in stilettos is not for the weak. It's a metaphor for her entire royal life, isn't it? Making the impossible look totally effortless. She was wearing the late Queen's pearl earrings and Diana's bracelet, literally carrying the legacy of the monarchy on her wrists while navigating a lawn like it was marble floor. It's that inner beauty and outer class at Sue's HM2W mentioned, but with a side of don't mess with me strength. There was even a rumor she turned down an invitation to the Met Gala this year. Can you believe it? The most glamorous night in fashion, and she said, no thanks, I have a meeting in Windsor Castle. It just goes to show she's choosing duty over glamour every single time. She doesn't need the red carpet when she is the carpet. That shining example of dignity is why people like @Stacey Dobbs call her a true queen in waiting. She isn't chasing viral fame, she's building a legacy. When she visited Charing Cross Hospital recently and met with chemotherapy volunteers, she had this incredibly poignant moment. Someone mentioned how long the wait is for patients, and she just touched William's arm and said, "We know." It was only 2 words, but it told the whole story. She's no longer the girl who scuttled off because she was shy. She's a woman who has walked through the fire and come out as a real diamond. So, looking back at the whole journey, from the spaghetti bolognese days at St. Andrews to the Waitie Katie era, through the hair drama of the wedding and the physical demons of her pregnancies, it's clear she's become the pillar of the monarchy. She's the yin to William's yang, the one who reels him in when he gets moody and keeps the whole firm from floating away. Critics can say what they want about her academic background or her stilted speeches, but at the end of the day, as @RobinJudd5199 said, she is the package. As we move toward the next chapter, with the Italy tour on the horizon and the kids growing up right before our eyes, one thing is certain: Catherine isn't just fitting into the royal family anymore, she's defining it. She's managed to stay authentic in a world of artifice, and she's done it all without smashing a mistress in anyone's face or losing her heart of gold. She is the perfectly made queen consort for a modern world. And honestly, if this is what the future of the monarchy looks like, I think we're all in pretty good hands. From a Berkshire commoner to a global icon, Catherine has proven that sometimes the girl who scuttles away at first is the one who ends up standing the tallest when the flashbobs never stop. And that, my friend, is the real making of a queen. Talk about a total glow-up.